What happens when America's sweetheart walks into the lion's den and refuses to be intimidated? Today, we're diving into one of the most shocking confrontations in daytime television history, where Dolly Parton's southern charm met Joy Behar's sharp tongue in a battle that ended with a stunning walk-off. This is a story about respect, boundaries, and what happens when someone finally stands up to a bully. Make sure you subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you think Dolly handled this the right way. The View's studio buzzed with its usual pre-show energy as Dolly Parton settled into the guest chair, her sequined jacket catching the studio lights. She'd been on countless talk shows over her decades-long career, but something felt different today. Joy Behar sat across from her with a particular gleam in her eye, the kind that usually meant trouble for whoever was in the hot seat. "So, Dolly," Joy began with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "You've been making music for what, 50 years now? Don't you think it's time to maybe update that look? I mean, the big hair, the sequins, it's all very 1970s. Dolly's smile remained warm, but her eyes sharpened just slightly. "Well, honey, I've always believed that if something works, why fix it? My fans seem to love me just the way I am. But don't you think," Joy pressed on, leaning forward with that confrontational posture she was known for, "that you're setting a bad example for young women? All this emphasis on appearance, the plastic surgery, the costumes. It's not exactly feminist, is it?" The other hosts shifted uncomfortably. Whoopi Goldberg shot Joy a warning look, but Joy was clearly just getting started. Sarah Haynes tried to jump in with a lighter question, but Joy cut her off. "I'm serious, Dolly. You've built your entire brand on looking like a cartoon character. Don't you think that's a bit shallow for someone who claims to be a serious artist?" Dolly's fingers drummed once on her knee, a small tell that those who knew her would recognize as a sign she was choosing her words very carefully. "Joy, darlin', I've never claimed to be anything other than exactly what I am. I write my own songs. I run my own businesses. And I've employed thousands of people over the years. If that's not serious enough for you, well, I reckon that says more about you than it does about me." The studio audience murmured approvingly, but Joy wasn't backing down. "Oh, please, Dolly, you can't seriously sit there and tell me that your success isn't built on playing into male fantasies about what a woman should look like. You're basically a Barbie doll with a guitar." "Joy," Whoopi interjected firmly, "I think we should move on to—" "No, it's all right, Whoopi," Dolly said, her voice still sweet but with an edge of steel creeping in. "I think Joy has something she needs to get off her chest. Go ahead, honey. Tell me what you really think about me." Joy seemed almost gleeful at the invitation. "Fine. I think you're a smart woman who spent her whole career dumbing herself down to appeal to men. I think all this cutesy, helpless Southern belle act is an insult to women who've fought for real equality. And I think it's about time someone called you out on it." The studio fell dead silent. Even the camera operators seemed to freeze. Dolly sat perfectly still for a long moment, her smile never wavering but something fundamental shifting in her posture. "Well," Dolly said softly, "that's certainly an opinion you're entitled to have, Joy. But let me ask you something. How many literacy programs have you started? How many children have you put through college? How many hospitals have you helped fund?" Joy's expression flickered with uncertainty for the first time. "That's not the point I was making." "Oh. But it is exactly the point," Dolly continued, her voice gaining strength. "You see, while you've been sitting behind this desk for all these years tearing other women down, I've been out there building women up. My imagination library has given away over 100 million books to children who might not otherwise have them. I've created thousands of jobs, most of them for women. I've mentored countless young female artists. But none of that matters to you, because you don't like my hair." The audience was completely captivated now, sensing they were witnessing something extraordinary. Joy opened her mouth to respond, but Dolly held up one perfectly manicured hand. "I'm not finished," sweetheart. You want to talk about feminism? Real feminism is about women supporting other women, not tearing them down because they make different choices than you do. Real feminism is about judging women by their actions, not their appearance. And real feminism is about having the courage to be exactly who you are, regardless of what bitter, judgmental people might say about you. Joy's face was flushing red now, her usual composure cracking. I am not bitter. Aren't you? Dolly asked quietly. Because from where I'm sitting, you seem awfully angry at a woman you've never met for choices that don't affect you in any way whatsoever. That sounds pretty bitter to me. The other hosts were watching this exchange like a tennis match, their heads turning back and forth between the two women. The audience was on the edge of their seats, sensing that something unprecedented was happening. Joy tried to regain control of the conversation. Look, Dolly, I'm not trying to attack you personally. I'm just saying that your image sends the wrong message. No, Joy, Dolly interrupted, and there was nothing soft about her voice now. You are attacking me personally. You've been attacking me from the moment I sat down. You've called me a cartoon character, a Barbie doll, and accused me of setting a bad example for women, all because I choose to wear sequins and tease my hair. Tell me, what message does that send to young women watching you right now? Joy's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water, clearly not expecting Dolly to turn the tables so effectively. The studio audience was dead silent, hanging on every word. You could practically feel the electricity in the air. I was just trying to have a discussion about, Joy stammered, but Dolly wasn't letting her off the hook. A discussion? Dolly's eyebrows raised in genuine surprise. Honey, discussions involve two people talking respectfully to each other. What you've been doing is called an attack. There's a difference. Though I can see how you might get confused, since attacking seems to be your specialty. Whoopi tried again to intervene. Ladies, maybe we should take a commercial break. No, Joy said sharply, her pride clearly wounded. Dolly, you can sit there and act all high and mighty. But the fact remains that your whole career has been built on perpetuating outdated stereotypes about women. You giggle and bat your eyelashes and act like you don't know anything, when we all know you're actually intelligent. That's not empowering. That's manipulative. The audience gasped audibly at the venom in Joy's voice. Dolly, however, just smiled that serene smile and nodded slowly. You know what, Joy? You're absolutely right about one thing. I am intelligent. Intelligent enough to build a business empire from nothing. Intelligent enough to write songs that have touched millions of people's hearts. Intelligent enough to know that the way I choose to present myself doesn't diminish my accomplishments or my worth as a human being. But apparently, I'm not intelligent enough to figure out why you think it's your place to judge how other women live their lives. Joy's face was getting redder by the minute. Someone needs to call out this fake persona you've created. You're not really this sweet, innocent country girl. It's all an act. And what if it is? Dolly shot back, her voice still controlled but with fire in her eyes. What if I've chosen to present myself in a way that makes people feel good? What if I've decided that kindness and warmth are better than cynicism and cruelty? What exactly is wrong with that? It's dishonest, Joy spat. It's not authentic. Dolly let out a genuine laugh, and it was like sunshine breaking through storm clouds. Authentic? Joy, darlin', let me tell you about authentic. Authentic is admitting that I grew up dirt poor in the mountains of Tennessee, and that I've worked every single day of my life to become something better. Authentic is acknowledging that I've made choices about how I look and how I present myself because those choices have opened doors for me. Authentic is being honest about the fact that I've never pretended to be anything other than exactly what I am, a country girl who loves music and loves people. What's not authentic is sitting behind a desk throwing stones at other women because their choices make you uncomfortable. The other hosts were watching this exchange with fascination and growing concern. Sarah Haynes looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. Sunny Hostin was taking notes, probably already planning how to address this in the next segment. Joy, however, was doubling down. You can dress it up however you want, but you're still selling an image that tells women they need to look a certain way to succeed. No, Joy, Dolly said firmly. That's what you're doing. You're telling women that if they choose to embrace their femininity, if they choose to wear makeup and pretty clothes and style their hair, then they're somehow less than. You're saying that to be taken seriously, women have to look and act like men. That's not feminism. That's just another kind of prison. The audience was starting to murmur their agreement, and Joy could sense she was losing whatever support she might have had. That's not what I'm saying at all, Joy protested, but her voice lacked conviction now. Isn't it? Dolly pressed. Because from what I've heard so far, you seem to think that any woman who chooses to embrace traditional femininity is somehow betraying the cause. Tell me, Joy, what gives you the right to decide how other women should present themselves? Joy opened her mouth to respond, but Dolly wasn't finished. And while we're talking about authenticity, let's talk about what's really happening here. You invited me on your show, supposedly to promote my new album and talk about my charity work. But from the moment I sat down, you've done nothing but attack my appearance, my choices, and my character. Is that what you call professional journalism? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Joy shifted uncomfortably in her chair, clearly realizing that she had overplayed her hand badly. I was just trying to ask tough questions, Joy said weakly. Tough questions? Dolly's voice was incredulous now. Joy, a tough question would be asking me about the challenges facing rural education or the complexities of running a business in the entertainment industry. Tough questions are about policy, about substance, about things that actually matter. Attacking a woman's appearance and calling her a cartoon character isn't journalism. It's bullying. The studio was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Even the cameramen seemed frozen in place, afraid to miss a single moment of this unprecedented confrontation. Joy tried one more time to regain control. Look, Dolly, I think you're misunderstanding my intentions. No, I understand your intentions perfectly. Dolly cut her off smoothly. Your intention was to embarrass me on national television. Your intention was to try to make me look foolish so that you could feel superior. Your intention was to use your platform to tear down another woman for no reason other than the fact that she makes different choices than you do. The problem is, it's not working out quite the way you planned, is it? Joy's face was now a deep shade of red, and her hands were visibly shaking. The other hosts were exchanging worried glances, clearly realizing that this situation was spiraling completely out of control. But Dolly wasn't done. She was just getting warmed up, and everyone in that studio could sense that the real fireworks were still to come. Joy was gripping the edge of the table now, her knuckles white with tension. The confident, confrontational woman who had started this interview had been replaced by someone who looked cornered and desperate. But Dolly wasn't showing any mercy. You know what the real tragedy is here, Joy? Dolly continued, her voice soft but cutting. You had the chance to have a meaningful conversation with someone who's spent 50 years in this business. You could have asked me about songwriting, about building a business, about philanthropy, about any number of things that might have actually benefited your viewers. Instead, you chose to spend your time trying to tear me down because you don't like my hair and my clothes. What does that say about you as a journalist? What does that say about you as a woman? Joy's mouth moved, but no sound came out. She looked around desperately at her co-hosts, but they were all avoiding eye contact now. Even Whoopi, who usually jumped in to rescue difficult situations, seemed content to let this play out. I think, Joy finally managed to croak out, that we should agree to disagree and move on to another topic. Dolly tilted her head slightly, like a bird considering a particularly interesting insect. Oh, we're going to move on, all right. But first, I think you owe your viewers an explanation. You see, this isn't really about me at all, is it, Joy? This is about you, and whatever issues you have with women who make different choices than you do. That's ridiculous, Joy snapped, but her voice was shaky now. Is it? Dolly asked calmly. Because I'm sitting here thinking about all the successful women you've had on this show over the years, and I'm noticing a pattern. You seem to have a particular problem with women who embrace their femininity. Women who choose to be glamorous, or who present themselves in traditionally feminine ways. Why do you think that is? The question hit its mark. Joy's face went from red to pale in an instant, and for a moment, she looked genuinely stricken. I don't have a problem with, Joy started, but Dolly held up her hand again. Yes, you do. And that's sad, Joy, because there's room in this world for all kinds of women. There's room for women who choose to be glamorous, and women who choose not to be. There's room for women who wear sequins, and women who wear business suits. There's room for women who tease their hair, and women who don't. But apparently, in your world, there's only room for women who make the same choices you do. The audience was completely silent now. But you could feel their energy. They were witnessing something extraordinary. A masterclass in how to handle a bully with grace and dignity. Joy tried one last desperate gambit. You're twisting my words. I never said any of those things. Dolly smiled that radiant smile again, but there was steel behind it. Honey, I don't need to twist your words. Your words speak for themselves. You called me a cartoon character. You said I was setting a bad example for young women. You accused me of being fake and dishonest. You said my entire career was built on playing into male fantasies. Those are your words, Joy. Own them. The silence stretched out for what felt like an eternity. Joy looked around the table again. But her co-hosts were all studying their notes or staring off into space. She was completely alone. I think, Joy said quietly, standing up abruptly and pulling off her microphone, that I've had enough of this conversation. Sit down, Joy, Whoopi said firmly, but Joy was already moving toward the edge of the set. No, I won't sit here and be lectured by someone who thinks being a living doll is an achievement. Joy shot back. Her composure completely gone now. Dolly remained perfectly calm, watching Joy's meltdown with something that might have been pity. And there it is, she said softly. The real Joy Behar. Not the professional journalist, not the champion of women's rights. Just a bitter woman who can't stand to see another woman succeed on her own terms. That was the final straw. Joy's face contorted with rage. I don't have to listen to this from some washed-up country singer who thinks she's profound because she can rhyme moon with June. The gasp from the audience was audible this time. Even the cameraman looked shocked. But Dolly just smiled that serene smile and shook her head slowly. And there you go again, Joy. When you can't win an argument on merit, you resort to personal attacks. Joy stood there for a moment, trembling with fury, clearly searching for some comeback that might salvage her dignity. But nothing came. The silence stretched on until it became unbearable. You know what? Joy finally said, her voice shaking with emotion. I'm done. I'm not going to sit here and pretend this is professional journalism, when it's clearly just an ambush. I'm Lexizent I'm Lexizent way. An ambush? Dolly asked with genuine surprise. Joy, honey. You're the one with the microphone and the platform. You're the one who invited me here. You're the one who started attacking me from the moment I sat down. If anyone's being ambushed here, it's me. But Joy was already walking off the set, ripping off her earpiece as she went. The cameras followed her for a moment before cutting back to the remaining hosts, who all looked like they'd just witnessed a car accident. Whoopi cleared her throat and tried to restore some semblance of normalcy. Well, that was certainly unexpected. Dolly, I want to apologize for— No need to apologize, Whoopi, Dolly said graciously, smoothing her skirt and adjusting her jacket, as if nothing unusual had happened. Sometimes people show you exactly who they are, and you just have to accept it and move on. Now, didn't you want to ask me about my new album? The audience erupted in applause, finally able to release the tension that had been building throughout the entire confrontation. Dolly sat there smiling and waving like nothing had happened. While somewhere backstage, Joy Behar was probably having the meltdown of her career. And that's how Dolly Parton, with nothing but grace, intelligence, and an unshakable sense of self-worth, managed to expose a bully for exactly what she was, on live television, in front of millions of viewers. Sometimes the best way to handle someone who's trying to tear you down is to simply stand your ground and let them destroy themselves. What did you think of how Dolly handled this situation? Did Joy get what she deserved? Or did Dolly go too far? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories from the world of entertainment.